Several releases ago, SAP Enable Now announced the ability to provide API calls via links in SAP Companion content. All of these are documented in the standard SAP Companion authoring guide, and I've pulled up the SAP Enable Now wiki, which you can get to at enablenow.wiki, and it's all documented on the link page of that. And there's the ability here to enter app links so you can launch a particular app in Fiori. And there's also all of these options to provide API links to do certain things like open or close the carousel, show a particular help tile, and so on. And although it was documented at the time that you could do a bunch of things for guided tours, that never seemed to work. And it was always, it'll be there at some stage. And now, without announcement, it actually seems to be there. So I'm going to look at one of the capabilities of this. Specifically, I'm going to look at this one, which jumps to a particular guided tour step, because that gives us some very interesting capabilities. So I'm going to provide a link in a guided tour that's going to jump to a specific step within that guided tour. Now, these are the formats of the commands that I need to use. This version here, where you're entering an actual step number, still does not seem to work. And I absolutely wouldn't recommend it anyway, because step numbers can change if you add a new step or you shuffle things around. So it's this one here that I'm going to use. This select tour step that's referring to a macro. So I'm going to copy that particular bit of text and I'm going to paste it onto my notepad here, because we're going to come back to this in a minute. Now, by way of example, I've got a guided tour here for entering a sales order, and I'm halfway through the process at the moment, and I've got to the point where I'm entering sales order items into my order. So I'm going to go into edit mode and go into my guided tour and show you what I've got in there at the moment and where I want to use this functionality. Again, just by way of example. So we get into this guided tour and we get to the items tab here, and then we go through entering the product, the requested quantity, item category, customer material number, requested delivery date, and then we could click add row and basically add another item to our order, or we can continue. And what I want to do in this one, where I give them the option of adding a new row, what I've got for my text in here, I've said if you want to add another item to the order, click add row and then repeat the previous steps. Otherwise, click next in this bubble to continue, and it will just go on to step 15, which is create. But it's this bit here that I'm interested in. If you want to see the step instructions again, click here. And what I want to happen then is if they click here, I want them to go back to step 9, so that it will give them those instructions again on how to enter that particular information. Very, very trivial example, but easy to understand, and it will demonstrate this functionality. So this is what I want to turn into a link, and I want to use this exact format here. The problem is I need to know the macro ID of step 9, which is where I get them to select the product. And unfortunately, that's not particularly easy to find. The only place I can really get it from is via the actual web editor, not the bubble editor. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into Edit in Manager Web Editor. That's going to open in a separate tab for me. Then I need to go and find step 9, which is actually the 10th one down here, because we've got a start in there. And it's this step here where we enter or select the product. So this is the step we want to come back to. Okay, if you remember, it's basically this one here where we're specifying the product, which is this step. So this is the important thing here, this UID. This is the macro reference. This is a technical reference to this exact step. This will never change. You'll only see this if you're in advanced layout mode. If you're not in advanced layout mode, it's hidden. So make sure in advanced layout mode, copy this, and that is what I'm going to use in my command here. So I'm going to paste it into there, and that's going to give me my exact command. So while we're here, I'm going to copy that onto my clipboard. Now, I don't need anything else in here, so I'm just going to close this down. And then back in here, I'm going to go to edit this step again. And it's this bit right here. This is where I want to insert that jump back to step 9. And I do that by going to insert link, and it is an API command link, and I'm just going to paste into there that command that I've copied. So this is saying select tour step, whichever one that is, which is my step 9. If you can't remember where to find all the information, you can get to it via here. But let me insert that now. So I've now got that hyperlink in there. Click apply, save, come out of edit mode. Now I'm going to play that guided tour, and I'm going to skip through the first several steps until we get to where we're entering the product. So let me quickly do that. So here we are where we're entering or selecting the product the customer wants to order. This is the one I'm going to jump back to again. So in here, let me select a product. And now it's this step here that I've edited, where I've got the choice of clicking add row to add a new button or just continuing. And here I actually say click next in this bubble just so that users understand that they're clicking next here. So what I can do here, if I click add row, it's going to add that new row for me. And if I want to see the instructions again, I can click here. And if I click there, it jumps back to step 9 and it shows me those instructions again. I've got it pointing to the header here because the row is going to be different every time, but it's always going to find that header. So here I have actually jumped back. So this shows that I can now use those API links within guided tours. That's new. That functionality was not working before when this functionality was initially announced. I don't know when it crept back in, sometime in the last couple of months. So I'm going to guess with the SAP Companion 3.1.36 or maybe 35 or possibly 34 release. So what this does for us, this gives us a very interesting capability in that we can now have branching within a guided tour. I've used a very trivial example here, but you can do some interesting things. If you want to see instructions for checking the status and the blocks, click here and it will jump to that portion of the guided tour for that, or jump back to repeat steps like I've got here. So now it's possible to have a guided tour that is not strictly linear, that you have to go through all of those steps. You can now have branching and jumping around. So very, very nice functionality, and I'm very happy to see this in here. Again, if you need information, you can go to enablenow.wiki and search for the link page, and that will have all of this information on there for you. All right, hope you found that useful. If you did, please subscribe.